So those of you who are joining, welcome YouTube for connecting. I'll just turn the chat on so that you can actually see that we're live and I can see what you guys are writing. Bear with me, Facebook. Hi, Leslie. How are you? How's the house going? Have you signed? Okay, now we're going to do the update, and that's Virgo, Cancer, Scorpio. Now I'm going to write that down so I know, and I'll write the timestamp so that once we've started, I actually know. When people want to refer back to the video, I can timestamp it. Now, for those of you who don't know, on YouTube, I've recorded the same. If you want to know exactly what part your zodiac sign starts at, I'll try later to actually timestamp it on Facebook. Otherwise, you can jump through to YouTube and you can have a look there. You started moving. Cool. Yeah, there is a lot of movement at the moment with a lot of us spiritually are actually looking at the foundation because the nodes are in Cancer. We're looking at, the nodes in Capricorn, what we're going to do, where our foundation is going to be, what family, what our tribe looks like. So a lot of the energy of what feels correct to us we're looking at. We're directly seeing what doesn't feel right. And those of you who are becoming more spiritually advanced and you've done a lot of work, what you'll tend to find is you have this frustrating energy, and Shelley and I were talking about this last night. It's the aspects of the knowingness that you know where the trigger point's coming from. You know why you're operating a certain way. Hi, Stefan. And when it happens, it can become very frustrating. So you find yourself really, holding your mouth closed, thinking, gosh, I really don't want to operate from that frequency. You know where it's coming from. You know it's a you thing. So the way you'll come across can be quite frustrated sometimes. With Valentine's Day approaching, again, it depends on if you're single couple or, what your core sense is at the moment, how grounded you are, how much you've purged to a point where you've healed and you're open to the new and you're open to what's to come. If you've got the expectations there, it can be a lot of fair-based frequencies coming up. And that's due to the fact where the nodes are, that Chiron is shifting from Pisces into Aries, which the Pisces energy, even, wherever Pisces is placed at the moment in a planet, it'll take on the element of that and Pisces, and it'll be very, you'll be very in your head. So the way you will psychoanalyze things, you'll feel semi-stuck. With the Aries frequency, you'll tend to move forward. So it will really help you shift to a point you can move forward, and you're not going to hold on to things so tight. And that can even be your fair-based frequencies of what you're thinking about. So that can be very problematic at the moment for both sides. Okay, so let's get into Virgo. Okay, Virgos, you guys at the moment, you want everything to be balanced, but you're actually realizing that not everything's perfect. And I'm not talking about the threading nature of what's going on, in your life. I'm talking about in general. There's this energy that you're wanting things to be correct. You can feel where they're out of alignment. We're going to do singles, couples, and twin flames, okay, for each of the zodiac signs I've mentioned. So you directly know, for those that are single, couple, or twin flame, that something needs to change, that something's not quite right. You're very intuitive. You're very susceptible and sensitive at the moment to the vibrations of what's going on, with really affecting your forward movement. But I just see you guys really meditating a lot on how to, and I do see you guys in particular really being very cautious about how you talk. Throat chakra in reverse. Really not saying something because you know it might affect the other person. So you're being very mindful as to how you communicate. Okay, so for those of you that are single, it might be, oh God, what's this doing? It may be that you're getting to a point where you're thinking, okay, am I for those of you around Valentine's Day? And again, that's a trigger point. So it can be you're looking at it, and sometimes when we're offered something on a platter, it's like, do we really want it? Are we really ready? It's not. We tend to look at the, how do I put it? sometimes we forget to consider ourselves. So you can come to a place where you're thinking, have it all, I've got all these offers and, potentially people are moving forward and they're in love. But it's like you're having a realization, do I actually need that? Is there something I need, or can I fulfill that need within myself? Some of you are being very protective, and you're really like, it does feel like protective energy. And looking at it thinking, I didn't know myself as well as I thought I do. And now I'm having this realization, do I actually need anyone? Am I okay? Do I want to step into that if I'm not spiritually ready? So with that energy, I do feel as though you guys are meditating. There may be an offer that has come through. Hi, Cal. And you're looking at it and you're going, oh, I'm not quite sure. Like, yeah, you're not buying what they're selling. Okay. So whatever it is, you're sensing the frequency, their energy, they're having to confront their demons. Okay. So the counterpart's energy, even if you're single, this love interest, the person you're tuning into, and for twin flames, you can take all of this energy and directly apply it. But the heaviest part will be obviously the twin flame. But you're sort of like in all paradigms at the minute. So, coming from duality means that your whole inside, the connection. It also means you know what is and what isn't right for you. And I do feel for those of you that are single, especially if you're a twin flame, you're coming to this realization that perhaps you are okay. And it's, you're happy doing you. But at the same time, you know what the connection is. So this person is actually confronting their shadow part, okay? Their shadow side of themselves, but so are you when you look at it. So again, it is coming through loud and clear, even though it's a single. So there is energies of the twin flame coming through in this part as well, where you're doing the work on yourself and you're sort of looking at it to a point. I'm protective, but, I'm loving me, but at the same time, do I need something? Do someone is going to offer to take you on a date or do something with you, do something special. But some of you I see wanting to spend more time with friends and wanting to do something for yourself. You're not codependent on it. You're detaching from it. But just really checking, because each of you category will be at a different frequency. So some of you might be sitting there going, you might be in the lower frequency. And when I say lower frequency, it's not a bad thing. It's pain body experience. And basically, it's where you get to a point where you're in fear-based mode. That's different, and if you're there, on the heart chakra and open up and know that when you're ready, things will flow. But at the same time, it can be that you're not quite feeling ready or open and trusting. But at the higher frequency, it can be you're just completely okay with it. You're doing the work on you. You're not looking outside of yourself for something. You're actually doing the work inside. So it's quite positive. Now, on your side, Virgo, you're trusting in the process. And again, I always say the 0 point in astrology and within a reading for you personally, for singles, it's like the Fool card. It's like a tying up of a loose end has actually occurred in a situation, be it on your side of the fence or another person's. And where you're at personally is you're ready to have that leap of faith. So again, those of you who are at the higher frequency, you're more inclined to be open to love coming in, but you're not looking outside of yourself. You're just in general feeling very positive and you're ready to move forward. Those of you who are at the lower frequency, it might feel very scary because it's going to come at left field very quickly and it's going to move very quickly. Your counterpart's energy and your love interest, for those of you who are single, they're healing at the moment, but anything that's been holding them back, they're actually breaking the chains of that situation. So anything that has prevented them from being loving, romantic, and interconnected is actually being removed. So yes, it's a process, but there is movement happening there. Overall, but I do frame of mind you're coming from. But I do feel there's positive energy, but don't get too caught up on the per se, with it being Valentine's. That's all doom and gloom, and that's the way it's going to stay. It's merely a date. Remove the trigger point connected to the date being Valentine's Day. Couples, you guys, there's a lot going on with you guys at the moment, and it's very hard for you to find balance, okay? So within, you know, around the 14th, and it can be a few days after as well, it's going to feel very busy. But again, when you look at the astrology and you have the understanding of what's going on, it does help you cope with the dynamic. Like I mentioned yesterday, it's like saying you're going to have a Sunday roast dinner, you got the cutlery ready, yet there's an apocalypse happening outside and you're expecting everything to be perfect. It's like, be reasonable with yourself, because what is happening in astrology at the moment is there's huge transition. So we went through a lot last year, not getting caught too tight onto the details when it does come to it being Valentine's Day, because this is life-changing transformations we're going through, more than just merely a date. So like I said, it's a process. Be gentle with yourself. You guys are going to shine after the fact of that transition. So just understand it may be imbalanced, but remember the light inside of yourself and keep going, because I am seeing for you guys in a coupled relationship, it is plateauing out. And it's almost like I'm seeing an iron. And any kinks in the fabric, it's like you'll keep pointing where these kinks are. And you're working out what isn't going to work. And I do feel, for those of you who are wanting to be in this relationship, there's a way to do that. For those of you who aren't, you're seeing where those kinks are, and you're realizing that you have the light to be able to change this and choose what path is best for you. Your counterpart's energy within the partnered relationship is really up in their head quite a bit, okay? I'm seeing business related though. So it does feel as though they're really tuning into their finances right now. And again, energies can swap. So it can be that they're really meditating upon their income, what they're going to do. But at the same time, they're trying to manifest, and they've got a lot of manifestation energy. But at the same time, it's a process. So they're trying to find the best solution to move forward. It's not feeling super romantic, but you're having a lot of compassion in the situation. So, you know, you directly will know what's going on in your relationship. And I feel that's the key, is the very fact that you have the visual as to what's happening. But you're going to have that knowing inside yourself of what is going on, so that it can smooth out, and then take direct action from there. But it might be a time frame that's very busy around that date. And I'm seeing all the way through to the 18th, because the 18th is where Chiron transitions over from Pisces to Aries. Now, it will be a more assertive energy, and we will at that point be in shadow period of Mercury retrograde, and it all governs your communication style. So you can get triggered, you can speak in a very brash manner. We can get very confused by the information. The time frame between now and the 18th already went in that frequency. So the way we directly relate to people in general is going to be very confusing. So we're going to be thinking we know what's happening, or thinking that we know what's best, but because we're not operating on all third eye chakra, because it's a lot of the information might not be there, or might be egoic energy, because third eye can be ego, okay? So we're not operating correctly. Try not to take the situation personally. Twin flames, throat chakra. Now, again, higher frequency, you're not codependent on needing to hear from them, and that's okay. Okay, because you could be in union, reunion, or disconnect. It makes no difference. You are twin. And the way you deal with it and heal you. Any blockages you have that come up, any trigger points, it's directly there to help you let it go. You know, and the one thing I noticed, I'd been talking to a very dear friend of mine yesterday, and we're doing, you know, questions about the journey. And they asked me, I'll keep the person honest, they asked me, like, how did I get to the point where I released? And I'd have to say, being broken, okay? So this is for Virgo, and this for twin flames, dealing with the Virgo counterpart, or you being a Virgo, okay? Because the energy can come through directly regardless. Now, what you've got to realise is when we have trigger points, they all belong to us. When you can reach that point energetically that it has literally, and it sounds horrible, broken you to a point where you're not holding on to that, and it can be thing, to a point that it doesn't define you anymore. And that can be the contact. That can be, you know, how they're applying their energy to a situation, how they're directly relating to you. Once you can reach that point that it's broken right down and you can release that, it doesn't trigger you anymore. You're aware of it. As I said, you know, being spiritual, you can't not be spiritual if you're a twin flame. It's like going to therapy for a lifetime. You grow and grow and grow. So, you know, anyone that's like, oh, I want to be a twin flame, not at that level, okay? Nobody rationally who is a twin flame would say, I want to be a twin flame. Now, in the 5D, before coming, yeah, because spiritually you know your ability. In the dense energy of the humanistic experience, no, you don't want to be a twin flame, because it's like going to hell. It really is, because you have to let go. You've got to keep letting go. So those of you who are at the higher frequency, it's like you're at that point where you're not codependent on it. If you are, it may be the frustration that you're not able to talk to them, and you feel spiritually that could actually remove the blockage. You can directly connect in with twin, and that's what you got to realize. We don't like the whole 5D, but sometimes 5D is simpler. But at the same time, you can telepathically communicate, and that is speaking your truth. And it can be you physically verbalizing it, not directly to the person, but telepathically, or just you speaking it out loud to release it, to clear the chakra. But at the same time, I am feeling as though there is, for the lower frequency, during this transition onto the 18th, those of you who have no contact, you're frustrated. Some of you aren't wanting to talk. Some of you aren't dependent on talking, okay? But yeah, this is being healed, so it's not a bad thing. And it's releasing of that energy of the need to communicate, okay? So once you release that, you will find it, you're not going to believe me, you will find it amusing, because you'll get to a point you'll think, you don't need to talk to them to have the knowing. You don't need to have communication to know how this situation is going to go. The frustration legitimately rolls back to the time frame it takes to move through the journey. But when you do come to that point where you can actually release it and you can say, okay, I'm not dependent on communication or defined by the communication.